Hey folks, welcome back to the shop. We're going to talk a little bit more turkey action here. We just did the 410 video with the diamond grade Winchester stuff. Thinking to myself, man, can we really kill a turkey with 410 lead? So I got to thinking, let's look at a 28 gauge, right? There's many factory offerings in 1 ounce of lead 28 gauge. And so what I wanted to do is, how will 28 gauge 1 ounce do at say 40 yards with number 6 shot? I think with 7.5, we're going to limit ourselves to 30 yards. And I think in the 410 video, if you're comfortable with 7.5 shot, even with 3/4 ounce of 410 load of 7.5, you can probably kill that bird if you get him in there 30 and in. So what I wanted to do is find factory 1 ounce loads in number 6 shot. For me, I'd be more comfortable with 6s, whether it be maybe a little leaf, some grass, who knows what in the way. I'd like to have a little bit more oomph behind the shot. So with 1 ounce of 6s, if we can get that pattern tight enough, we should be able to work a bird head over pretty good, and his neck or whatever else. Now, another thing that I did is I have purchased a Tru-Lock super full choke for the 28 gauge. And that's what I tested this stuff with. I don't think a normal full choke is going to do the trick. So really what this is for is, if you think you're going to be able to get some TSS stuff and you've ordered it and it just don't come in time. If you was thinking you was going to buy some TSS stuff and you just couldn't find any, right? Let's take a look and see what just regular factory lead 6s will do. Now, I did pattern these at 30 and at 40, okay? So let's kind of go over what I'm testing. So I have some Rio, all right? Rio 1 ounce, number 6 shot, moving at 1,180 feet per second. It's about normal for 1 ounce of 6, okay? I have Winchester Super X, 1 ounce of 6s. These are pretty available, whether online or, you'll see these at your gun shops, at your ammo places. Rios, these will be online too, but there's some specialty, local gun shops or whatever that will have the Rios. This is probably going to be the most available. The Federal 1 ounce, number 6 shot, okay? This is not their top gun. It's the same hull. And I'm gonna do a what's in the box in this later on, and actually the Rios too, but this is not a what's in the box. We're not gonna break any of these down. We're just gonna pattern these. Now, also going back to the last video with the 410, I was thinking to myself, and look, I could be wrong, but I couldn't find a dedicated turkey type lead load in the 28 gauge offered by commercial ammunition companies other than TSS. Yes, there's tons of TSS offerings for the 28 gauge. Yes, they cost $50 and up for, I think, 5 of those. What I'm looking for is a lead load, and I don't see anybody marketing a lead type load. So why don't we create one? Okay, so what I did is I worked with Winchester AAHS hulls, and I've worked up a 1 ounce buffered nickel plated lead load, right? So we're gonna pit all these factory loads against the buffered nickel plated load and see, is it worth loading that load? Or should you just go ahead and buy factory stuff? Are you going to get as good results with that? That's the big thing. Because I tell you, putting a buffered load together until I find some kind of vibrating table or something, it's a real pain in the butt. Anybody that's reloaded buffered stuff. So, but anyway, so let's go out to the farm. So I patterned these at 30 yards and I also patterned them at 40. We know at 30, they're probably gonna work, every single one of them, just because at the distance. But I wanted to show everybody the comparison between the 30-yard pattern and the 40-yard pattern. And by the way, is the 40-yard pattern even sufficient? Would you feel comfortable shooting a bird at 40 yards, with the 28 gauge and lead shot? It could be a situation where, you know what, we've done what we can, even with super full chokes. Let's just back down to 7.5, get more shot count, and stick within 30 yards. I mean, that's possible. It could turn out that way. But anyway, so let's go out to the farm. I have footage of shooting these, and then we'll come back and look at the patterns, and then we'll talk about it when we're done. See you in a minute. Rio, 1 ounce, number 6 shot, super full, 30 yards. All right, Rio, 1 ounce, number 6, factory load through a super full choke at 40 yards. Federal, 1 ounce, number 6 shot, super full, true lock choke, 30 yards. Federal, 1 ounce, number 6 shot through a super full choke at 40 yards. Winchester, 1 ounce, number 6 shot, super full, 30 yards. Winchester, number 6, 1 ounce, factory load at 40 yards with a super full choke. And loaded. 1 ounce, number 6, buffered, nickel plated lead. In the rain, hand loaded, Win AA, 1 ounce, nickel plated lead, buffered through a super full choke. All right, so we got our patterning. So what I've done is, this is the 40-yard shot right here. 40-yard super full choke. This is the 30-yard super full choke. What you'll see here is a pattern and no pattern. The reason is, and I must have grabbed the wrong shell, but this Rio target that I shot, and you may see it on the video, it was actually a 3/4 ounce of number 4 steel. There was 136 pellets. And by the way, they were all inside of a 20-inch circle. I'll just show you. There you go. That was a mistake. I'm human. Sorry about that. So 30 yards, 40 yards. This is the Rio at 40 yards. Pretty nice looking pattern. So that's factory Rio, number 6 shot. There's 201 pellets on the entire page, okay? There's 105 in a 20-inch circle. And look, I understand that a lot of times a 10-inch circle is what's used for turkeys and lethality. I don't know if that's something that came about with the TSS evolution or what, but when I was marking out that 20-inch circle for the 410s and I was moving buck snort around, I was like, you know what? That's pretty good because you got 10 inches on either side that, you know, if you miss a little left or right, or if he moves his head a little bit. But anyway, let's take a look at this. It's not a bad pattern. There's a hole here. There's a hole here. You know, if you missed him low, I mean, obviously you're going to put a bunch in his body, but you didn't hit his head. Right here, I don't know. Buck snort might have, again, lifted his spurs and gone. But there is a core. We can see the core right here, right? So it's possible. And look, at 40 yards with this Rio number 6 load, I mean, that's not real great. You know, it's not the best in the world, right? But there are some places where he was going to die for sure. So let's take a look at the next load. Okay. So this is the Federal 1 ounce game load. This is the, I think, $16.99 box of shells that you can just go to Walmart and buy them. 30 yards, super full. There's 146 pellets in that 20-inch circle. There's 201 on the whole entire sheet, right? So it appears it might be a little light on payload as far as the original loading, but the pattern doesn't look terribly bad. At 40 yards, again, at 30, we know this stuff is probably going to work. At 40 yards, there's 106 in the circle. So we've lost 40 pellets due to spread on this particular shot, and there's 199 on the board total, which is actually only 2 less than what was on the 30 yards. So again, the number of pellets is about the same on target. It's just this core has opened up. Now, what has Buck Snort got to say? Well, it's a little sparse, especially right there, right? Here's a little sparse. There's a hole right there. Again, Buck Snort has pulled his spurs. But look here, man, going for a ride in the side-by-side, right? So it's not the best in the world, but look here at 30 yards. At 30 yards, Buck Snort ain't really got a prayer, especially with number 6 shot, because you know some of that's going to bust through his neck and that kind of stuff. I mean, there are a couple of holes here and there, but the pattern is much, much denser at 30 yards, okay? So, again, 30 yards, I have no problem with that. At 40 yards, I mean, it's not a terrible pattern. Wished it was a little better. So let's look at the next round. Okay, man, this right here really shows what can happen in 10 yards. You know, you step off 10 paces and you're like, man, it's only 10 more yards. This is Winchester Super X, super full at 30 yards. This is the same shell at 40 yards. So at 30 yards, we've got 229 number 6 shot on the pattern, and there's 164 inside that 20-inch circle. It's really good. Now, you move back 10 more yards. Now we only have 218 on the whole entire page, and there's only 100 in that circle, right? So, yeah, that 10 yards, man, is killing us. So, what does Buck Snort got to say about this? At 40 yards, pretty good hole, you know. And look, with 7.5 shot, we're going to be much better off, but our range is going to be limited, right? I mean, down in here, he's getting tore up. Don't get me wrong. Even right in here, and you can see a little core kind of right there. Now at 30 yards, holy moly. Anywhere you put him, he's pretty much done for, right? 30 yards, he's a goner. But we kind of knew that. So now let's take a look at the buffered hand load. Okay, I think that everybody can kind of see a little bit of difference. So this is 1 ounce of buffered nickel-plated number 6s, right? In a Winchester AA HS hull. At 30 yards, there's 242 pellets. I'm sorry, 232 pellets on the whole entire target. 191 of them are in that 20-inch circle. At 40 yards, we have 224 pellets on the target, and 142 are in that circle. Okay? So, what does Buck Snort have to say about this? Buck Snort, on this particular pattern, I mean, look, there's a little hole right there, but we're still down here in the neck area. But again, you get in that core, and even outside of the core, you just got many, many, many more pellets, 40 more pellets than just about every other load we tested in this load. At 30 yards, I mean, look, he didn't go 20, right? He's done. He's flopping. I mean, that's crazy pellet count right there. But again, that's 30 yards. I mean, I would expect that. Okay? Pretty wild, pretty wild. All right, let's go back to the bench and let's talk about this. All right. What y'all think about the patterns and the loads? Pretty interesting. It's really interesting how much stuff changes in 10 yards, right? Just about every one of those. And it's a shame I didn't get the Rio at 30, but I think it's going to look very similar to the Winchester and maybe the Federal. One thing I know about Federal, when I marked the pattern, it seemed like some of the shot were just a touch small compared to, you know, all the other number 6 holes that I had marked on these patterns. That was the only thing that I found a little bit different. And of course, when I do a what's in the box, we'll take a look at that shot and see exactly what it is. 40 yards, you know, maybe, you know, we need to try some different chokes. And look, let me grab this. So this is the choke tube that I used. It is a Trulock Cryo Plus Federal. It says Federal TSS choke. So I'm sure they designed it around Federal TSS. It's not a super extended choke. It's just like the same extension as like a factory improved cylinder or modified in the Beretta. I'm sorry, the Benelli Super Black Eagle 3. But it's the Cryo Plus. There's the model number, right? So 100% guaranteed. I'm talking about steel shot, but you can look at the details on this if you go online or looking to buy one. So the reason I mention that is that's the choke that I used. Look, I know there's Carlson's, Jeb's, Indian Creek. There's so many chokes out there. And somebody even made a comment in the 410 video that's like, hey man, that Carlson's choke you were using really isn't considered high end. Well, I tell you what, I'm not in the turkey game real big, right? I'm in loading ammunition to kill stuff real big. It's just that I haven't hunted turkeys a whole lot in my life. So anyway, different choke may get you different results, even with factory ammo. So if you've got some different chokes and you've got some number 6 laying around, hey man, go out and shoot it and see what happens. At 30 yards, I think you're good to go. Even at 7.5, you'd probably have some devastating patterns as far as the density or how many shot are in that kill zone to kill that turkey. The buffered shot. Now that was impressive to me, right? I think anybody that's ever loaded ammo and you've messed with trying to make patterns tighter and wider and all that kind of stuff, if you want to make lead or bismuth tighter, you need to buffer it and you need to slow it down, right? So that load that I have was coming out right around 11:30, 11:40, something like that. It's not super fast. Of course, we don't want it to be. And we may have the velocities on loaded in. I haven't edited that yet. So on the shooting footage. But the buffered number 6, to me, I would feel confident or comfortable shooting that at 40 yards, right? At a turkey. Obviously 30 yards would be good in number 6 shot. So as far as this load and where it came from, and look, I've put this thing together over a course of, I don't know, about 4 different sessions. I had to work with a little bit different powder. When you incorporate buffer into a load, your pressure dramatically increases. So, you know, and I have found out the more buffer you can put in there, the better it is. So the thing is, I have a container over here. Right now there's 14 loads, and it will probably go into the mail in the next day or two. So it'll be a couple of weeks. And that buffered nickel-plated 6 shot is in that batch of stuff. So this stuff is going to be available soon, and I'll do a video when that comes out. I just wanted to kind of show it, you know, with these patterns for a comparison. So it will be available. I'm sure it will test good. That's one thing that I'm not unconfident in. So anyway, keep an eye out for that. What do y'all think, man? Have anybody killed turkeys with a number 6, just straight lead shot out of their 28 gauge? I know that the TSS in the turkey world changed everything, and 28 gauge is such a niche caliber that I don't think they would ever mass produce like a turkey dedicated lead. And look, I could be way wrong. Maybe there is somebody out there that does it. And if there is, let me know. I'll try to get a hold of some. We'll shoot that too, right? But in the meantime, get your turkey chokes out, boys and girls, because they're going to start hammering. I was out at my farm today walking around after I did some load work, and guess what? Found some big old turkey tracks down in the bottom by the creek. So I'm getting excited, right? Anyway, thank y'all for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.